privilege and honor to meet you, Professor Dame. My name is Ola, Association of Nigerian Nurses in Ireland, and we're here today to honor you. And like I said, it's a privilege. And on behalf of the association, we say thank you for all the remarkable work you've been doing.
Thank you very much.
And this has really inspired us. But just a quick, not a question, but just also to share with our members and every nurses or people from African origin, how you got here. Just briefly,
Yes,
I know it's a long journey. Like what's inspired you? Just a bit about yourself as well. So
thank you. Well, it's an honour to be speaking to your organisation. Thank you very much. My name is Elizabeth, Professor Dame Elizabeth-Anionwu, and I'm half Irish and half Nigerian, born in Birmingham, England. So I'm very proud of my mixed race heritage, and of course to be invited to Ireland, as I have been, to help honour the contribution of nurses for the 75th anniversary of the NHS, particularly Irish nurses and their contribution, and to be invited to plant a new tree in the gardens. It's been a huge privilege. I think with my own upbringing, I am now 76 years of age, and so I was born in England of parents who weren't married, but that had met at Cambridge University as students. My father being Nigerian, studying law, and my mother born in England but of Irish heritage, who was studying classics. And you can imagine in those days, Catholic family, a big scandal when my mother got pregnant, and she couldn't even bring herself to tell them that the father was black.
Nigerian.
And so there's always a bit of humour, even with sadness and surprising events in families. And apparently when I was born, the midwife in Birmingham, who happened to be Irish, met my maternal grandparents coming in to get ready to look at me and visit my mother, of course. And she sort of wanted to alert them, and she sort of rushed over and blurted out, to be sure the baby's a little dark. Because there I was, a brown-skinned baby with huge black afro obviously in those days. And so it was a shock. And my maternal family were very supportive, as much as they could be in those days. But I did stay in a Catholic children's home run by Nazareth House nuns in Birmingham for the first 9 years of my life. And actually, overall, it wasn't bad. There were a few negative experiences, but it's where I learned to do Irish dancing and play the piano, and so it was mostly positive. But I always wanted to be a nurse, from the very kind care and nursing nun provided for me when I was severely affected by eczema and asthma as a child. So that was my influence. So I always remember that, and I think it's important to be aware that young people or people thinking about careers are looking at you as you practice and can be influenced positively or negatively. So we always have to remember that. And I think also we are all under stress, and I think particularly for people who are not living in their home country and maybe subject to racial discrimination, etc. That is difficult for them, it is harsh for them, but a network like your own is extremely important that they join to get support, and that they learn as much about the culture of the country that they're living in, so that they can understand more about where people are coming from, but not to accept negative behaviour. But as a nurse, to always remember, yes, you've got problems, but actually you have to remember the needs of the patient, and you have to hide some of your own stress sometimes. That is, and I always say to people, obviously, remember how you would like to be nursed. Remember how you'd like your parents or grandparents to be nursed. That's how we must do it as nurses, despite the stresses that you're experiencing.
Thank you so much. I think you kind of cover a lot of other questions I want to ask. Talking about how, as a mixed race, how you were able to pull through the challenges. Are there particular challenges that you felt that maybe you want to mention, and how did you scale through
them? Well, the main challenge is you cannot
especially as a nurse.
So the main challenge is you cannot change the skin colour. You're always going to be brown or black. and you have to learn how to accept yourself and love yourself.
Love yourself.
Love yourself and have strong self-esteem, but not be arrogant, because that provides a protective wall for you when you get racist experiences, because you're going to get them, unfortunately. However, also be aware that there are very kind people around, and link yourself with those people. Ignore the negative people, and be the best you can in your career. Study hard. I'm going to sound like a boring lecturer now, but it's true. In my own experience, by really working with people who specialised in sickle cell disease, studying for long hours, it did help me in the end, because it made me realise that I could be part of a multidisciplinary team as a nurse. I was the first nurse sickle cell specialist in Britain, and that was because I had a very understanding haematologist specialising in sickle cell disease, and she saw something in me, and obviously I was able to relate particularly to the black community, and understand some of the reasons why they were wary, frightened of the health service. They had reason to be sometimes, but also because I was born and brought up in England, I saw it from the other side as well. So I think I hopefully acted as a sort of mediator, but also helped to educate nurses in the NHS about sickle cell disease as well.
I think that's a very significant one. In Ireland, we have the society, a sickle cell society in Ireland, and part of Association of Nigerian Nurses. We're working closely with them as well to bring about that education and advocacy and creating awareness. Thank you so much. One last question, and I'll let you go. If you were to think back maybe in 5 years, let me say 10 years ago now, would you have done anything differently as a nurse, based on your background? And lastly, you were the one that carried the orb coronation. Like I said, that was the first time I saw you, and I was like, oh my God. How was that experience for you? So that's a 2-in-1 question.
Okay, so before I talk about the coronation, we'll finish with that. I realised that despite the problems that I had, I was physically abused as a child because of my skin colour and various other issues, as we all experience in nursing sometimes, sadly. I did come through it, and people often were constantly asking me, how did you do it? How did you get to the leadership level that you got? I wrote about it. In the end, people said to me, why don't you write about your life? Because it is unusual, and it could motivate and inspire other people. So, and I called it Dreams from My Mother, and I think it's quite apt in Ireland that I talk about this, because that is my Irish heritage mother, and that is me as a baby. And despite all the difficulties my mother had, she never rejected me. And that is what's helped me throughout my life. So that's the situation that I would, if people want to know more, obviously I would suggest. It's also an audio book. I
got mine from Amazon on Thursday, and it was delivered Friday.
That's very quick.
Very quick one, and so it's on Amazon.
And I actually read the book in the audio book version of it. So finally, you're asking about the coronation. Well, let me tell you, it was a huge shock, a pleasant shock. When I got a phone call from Buckingham Palace, I thought it was a spam. I thought it was somebody joking with me. It wasn't. And I was being invited to not only attend the coronation, but also to take part in it. And I, with Baroness Floella Benjamin, a TV personality, were 2 black women who... she carried the sword.
I have the
and I carried the orb, and obviously it was a huge honour. It was a real shock. I would never have expected it. So I think that's another lesson. Things can happen very unexpectedly. Be prepared for it, and also because some people think, well, what's it got to do with? I said, listen. The feedback I've had from the majority of my people has been overwhelmingly positive. And I am happy about that.
Even from strangers that don't even know you, the greetings. a testimony. Thank you so much,
My
Professor
pleasure.
Dame.
And good luck with your organisation.
Thank you. We're a baby association, and we hope to keep growing and bring great things as well. I know there are so many Nigerians or African community that would have loved to meet you today, and probably seeing this now, they were like, why am I not here? So just representing everyone, I say thank you for inspiring us. Thank you. It's you put yourself in a position of honor, and of course you deserve the honor, and I think everyone will envy the stage. So thank you so much.
Well, can I say good luck to you, your organisation, but actually good luck to all the nurses out there and the midwives. Be brave, be courageous.
Be brave, be courageous. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay.